Okay, we are in CodeHS, Unit 2 Web Design, HTML Structuring Websites. We are now on Lesson 3, Formatting Text, which I have popped up over here already. Probably need to close out those little tabs that we used earlier. Okay, so again, as usual, I'm skipping the video, skipping the quiz. We'll jump to the dictionary here that just kind of demonstrates that there are different levels of headings. All right, it's best to practice to organize heading tags in order to make your web pages more accessible. Try to avoid skipping heading tags throughout an HTML. So what that means in the world of web design and search engines actually use things called crawlers that go through the web and view pages. They view the code. If you have an basically if you're going to have an H of anything, you need to have an H1 work down to H2. What it's saying is don't skip because that's how a web crawler, Google's obviously the most famous, they use this algorithm that nobody truly understands, but part of that algorithm is it's searching for content of the page, and things that are H1s are going to be classified differently than something that's a paragraph. But if you're missing something, it could throw off the web crawler and your page maybe doesn't get as many hits. So something to be aware of. All right, so this is an example of a dictionary page. So we see, again, we have this one is missing the declaration, so they didn't help us out there by putting this, but we should have the doc type HTML above, but we'll get to that later. We have the head section, and then we have the title. So again, if we were to pop it out, it's going to say dictionary definition, okay, and then we can see full web page view, okay. All right, we have dictionary. Okay, notice that within the paragraph, this is called strong. It's a way of emphasizing a word. You could also use a B tag for bold, which does essentially the same thing. Notice the has an EM right here, and it kind of makes it more italic. It's an emphasis is what that is. So this one has a bunch of stuff in it, all to make this appear, both bold, all right, italicized. And then we have another case within the paragraph. So what you're seeing is you can do what's called inline formatting. And if I want a particular word to be bolded and not an entire paragraph, I just put tags around that word, okay? And we have a paragraph. All right, this HR, that is a horizontal rule. That is what goes right here, and you'll see it again right here. So if you notice, one thing that I've probably not mentioned enough, the order of your code definitely matters. So H1 dictionary, that comes first, okay? Then this paragraph with the bold, all right, it comes next, and so on. Down here, all right, we have a break, even though this is still part of the paragraph. This BR, this is an empty element, meaning you don't have an opening and closing. It's just there twice. That is a line break, and that just skips a line. So it says, hey, I want to stay in the same paragraph, but I want to skip a line. This means skip another line. Okay, and what that really does is, for example, if it looks like this, it's going to end this line, go to this one. So really, 2 break tags are common if you want to skip one line. It just makes sure that depending on the browser window that no matter the size, it's going to have at least one blank line. Okay. All right, so that's kind of what we're looking at there. Okay, we'll go to next. All right. So let's practice using the HTML formatting tags. There's starter code that's given, so we want to bold each vocabulary word in the definition by indicating it's strongly important. Italicize each vocabulary word by indicating its emphasis within the sentence. Hint, if you need a review. All right, so I've already done this one. It is very tedious, so I'm just going to show you the code and explain where it goes. So that you can kind of go from there, or I've done 2 of them. I'll continue with the rest. How about that? So notice I used something different. I used bold tags, which is really the same thing as strong. And then for the word in the sentence, I did use EM to emphasize that word. So what you're doing is for each vocabulary word, I did it for malleable. We're going to bold the word the first time we see it before the definition, and then when the word is used in the sentence, we're going to emphasize that. So again, malleable is bold. It's got a B tag before and after. Then when it's used in the sentence, it's got the EM tags around it. Okay, so for concoction, it's bold in its definition. When it's used in the sentence, all right, it's got the emphasis. So I'm going to come down here to stamina, and you'll also see where this is the drawback of the opening and closing tags happening. So notice it does opening, close, so I'm going to have to take stamina. I'm going to have to copy, or actually cut. In this case, I'm going to do a Control X, if it'll let me select the whole word. It's being difficult. Okay, I'm going to do Control X to cut it, and I'm going to go in between the opening and closing tag, and I'm going to paste. And then where I see the word in the definition, I'm going to do an EM. Again, it's going to do an open close, and I need to move the word. Another option, obviously, if I don't want to copy and paste the word, I could also cut with a Control X and paste the closing tag with a Control V right there. Okay, then I can do the same thing right here. Just to show you, I can type strong. It's going to do the same thing as bold. And CodeHS may even yell at me because I did bold, but nonetheless, and then I want the okay. So when I refresh, now I've got it where the word first appears with the definition, it's bold. Where it's used in the sentence is emphasized. Okay, so if I click submit and continue, so it's going to yell at me and say you must have 4 strong tags. Ironically, it then says the vocabulary word should be bold in each definition. That's just CodeHS does not understand that the B tag, which is easier to type than the word strong, does exactly the same thing. So if you use the B tag, that's fine. If you want to go back and change all those B's to strongs, feel free to do so. I actually prefer the bold tag. It does the exact same thing. Okay, so I'm going to continue anyway. Okay, this one, our assignment was to add in the break tags necessary to make each of the pet names listed on its own line. Okay, so we wanted to stay within the same paragraph so that we don't have skipped lines. So we have cats. All right, so notice our favorite animal names is a heading 1. It's going to be the largest. And then we have kind of subcategories. So we move to an H2, which is heading 2. It's still bold, it's still big, just not quite as big as a H1. We then have our first paragraph, and we have Lilith, Jasper, and Oliver. Now notice we have a break tag after Lilith, a break tab after Jasper, but we don't need one after Oliver because, all right, we close the paragraph after that. We then have a horizontal rule that makes a line on the page. Dogs, Captain, Corgi, Monster, and Buster each have a break tag after to go down to force a new line. Rover doesn't need one because it's the last name, and the paragraph tag would create a blank line anyway. Okay, so I'm going to click submit and continue. Okay, this one, I think some heavy editing. Let's see what this assignment is. So using the tags H1, H2, H3, H4, HR, and EM, transform this page to look like the page below. So I think I've done that already. In all actuality, remember that in the header, tags in the front size get smaller. All right, so we've got Call of the Wild. So also we have that as the page title, but then H1, so the largest, Call of the Wild. Then that is a little bit italicized, so we're going to emphasize by Jack London as an H2. We have a horizontal rule. All right. Then we have an H3, which is the next level down. It's the table of contents, another horizontal rule. And then we have each chapter, which if you notice is bolded, but we're going to assume, since we're practicing using the H4 tag, each chapter is going to have an H4 tag around it. So this is kind of my final code. Again, I start with a declaration. This is an HTML5 page, opening HTML tag, closing HTML tag, so everything else goes inside of it. The head, remember this is not going to show up on the page. It'll show up if we were to pop it out. All right. it would show up that way. And I was on my assignment page instead of my output, so if I pop it out there, we'll see Call of the Wild as the title. All right, and then we have the rest of our items. Okay, so that is it. So again, submit and continue. We want all green checkboxes. We are good to go. Okay, and by doing that, you have earned a formatting badge, which means you now know how to format text in HTML. So congratulations. All right, and that ends lesson 3.